Most people in the XRP community expected XRP to moon on the announcement of a final judgment from Judge Lisa Torres. Expectations were nothing short of spectacular, with many believing it would hit new all-time highs. And XRP did pump hard, upwards of 30% on the announcement, which is massive based on typical market standards. Again, I know we're in the crypto space and I know there are memes with low liquidity and things can pump 100% in a day, but 30% in a market with billions and billions of dollars is actually huge. But still, in the last few videos on the Bull Runners channel and all over social media recently, people keep commenting that it's not over and how Gary Gensler and the SEC may want war through appeal. The consensus in the community seems mixed right now. Over on Sentiment, XRP was the top trending crypto asset yesterday and today in terms of social engagement. From the bear side, we even have one major XRP community member asking why didn't XRP skyrocket on the news that the case is finally over, or how some people are worried the team and Ripple will have to sell XRP token to pay for the $125 million settlement. But I think the biggest concern people have consistently shared is the fact that the SEC still has 60 days to appeal the court case. And can they? Well, in short, yes, the SEC can appeal. Maybe the whole outcome of this case has Gary Gensler and the SEC wanting their revenge. But how likely is that as an actual outcome about 90 days out from election time? So combine all of these factors and you have people fudding XRP right now. And it might be easy to buy into the FUD because more often than not, it's the negative stuff people focus on. But when you really look at the actual total positive sentiment, it far outweighs the negative sentiment. And that's reflected right here on Sentiment. You can see we have a 54% positive sentiment and only a 27% negative sentiment. And by the way, they do a lot of analysis into many social platforms. So for example, you'll have Reddit here, you'll have Telegram, you'll have Twitter, 4chan, Bitcoin Talk, and even Farcaster. So just as a quick recap before we dive into this video, or if you're new here, on Wednesday, August 7th of 2024, the Southern District Court of New York announced a ruling stating that XRP, or Ripple, needs to settle by paying $125 million for institutional sales of their token from like a decade ago. This has ended a very long, grueling court process that was hundreds of millions of dollars in legal fees and about 4 years. So it is a very positive outcome. So in this video, we'll cover the odds of an actual SEC appeal, which would just drag this case further along, or whether or not Brad Garlinghouse and Ripple would also want to appeal this ruling and potentially get a lesser settlement in terms of the dollar amount. We'll cover an amazing platform that offers access to real, regulated ETPs in crypto and why that's so timely and important in the current environment. By the end of this video, I'll cover some potential outcomes in the upcoming week and months so you can manage your crypto and XRP positions better. Finally, before we begin, head on over to bullrunners.com and subscribe to learn how to take advantage of our all market solution. Doesn't matter if it's a bear market or a bull market. Ultimately, when you head on over to bullrunners.com, you'll discover how to earn more crypto in less than 10 minutes with the #1 play to earn XRP game. So if you're feeling blessed and bullish, comment 777. And if you're going to be the wealthiest person in your family tree, smash the subscribe button. Before we dive in, a quick reminder that the opinions in this video are for informational and educational purposes only and do not constitute financial, legal, or investment advice. All investments, including cryptos, carry risks and potential losses. Always do your own research and consult with a licensed financial advisor. We are not licensed financial advisors, and relying on our content for financial decisions is at your own risk. By watching this video, you agree we are not responsible for any losses or damages, and we do not guarantee any specific results or outcomes. Some of the links below may be affiliate links, and we may earn a commission, which actually helps support this channel and helps us to create value value-based videos like this. We also hold some positions in the cryptocurrencies that we talk about, but that's only because we do what we believe in. However, this should not be interpreted as a recommendation for you to do the same. With that said, let's get into the video. Let's just dive into the meat of this whole thing and answer the question of whether or not Ripple will likely appeal. I think this tweet is very telling from the CEO of Ripple, Brad Garlinghouse. He says, the SEC asked for a $2 billion and the court reduced their demand by 94%. Recognizing that they overplayed their hand, we respect the court's decision. So first and foremost, he's saying we respect the decision, and they knew the number after the fact, right? To have clarity to continue growing our company. I think, in other words, they just want this thing to be over. This is a victory. So he's also calling it a victory for Ripple, the industry, and the rule of law. The SEC's headwinds against the whole of the XRP community are gone. So this is pretty indicative of the fact that the team itself is happy with the outcome. They're happy that they don't have to pay $2 billion, even though they asked for $10 million, right? If these numbers are so, there's such a large gap between the two numbers, it's kind of like negotiations, you would hope they meet somewhere in the middle. In this case, they met well below the middle. So this is a major victory. I think they're happy. They're not going to appeal. Now, the real question everyone has and what they might be worried about is whether or not the SEC is going to appeal this decision. But consistently in the current economic political climate, I would argue they are not, considering that they just approved an Ethereum spot ETF. And then, right, they already had an investigation into Ethereum surrounding whether or not they would be considered a security, and they recently dropped that investigation, considering it an embarrassment. Here's what this article had to say. Consensus lawyer Laura Brookover said there will be no more protestations from the SEC that Ether is a security. Brookover claimed that the SEC didn't willingly decide. Think about that for a second. Maybe they wanted to, but ultimately maybe they had to step down or forced to decide to drop the investigation. She said it was a reaction to being pushed to lift the subpoenas on consensus, given their recent Ethereum ETF rule change approvals predicated on ETH being a commodity. Now imagine the outcome of the July 2023 case was that XRP itself as a token is not considered a security. So consistently, the SEC has been embarrassed in the courts. They've been attacking the wrong players, or whether or not they've actually had cases to begin with. Ultimately, they've attacked from the wrong vector, and consistently they've been embarrassed. So at this point in time, when we're so close to elections where the majority of the contenders, arguably Kamala Harris and Donald Trump, are going to be pro-crypto because there are so many pro-crypto voters, you have to wonder, is there actually pressure from the current administration on the, incumbent Kamala Harris, if you will, as a VP right now, to say, hey, let's take it easy on crypto right now, because if we're harsh towards crypto, then we're probably going to lose a large portion of our would-be voters. And it's no secret, right? Like, Donald Trump is at this point pro-crypto. He's obviously changed his position from in the early days, but Trump pledges national Bitcoin stockpile to make U.S. The crypto capital of the planet. And I do believe he says what he says is what he's going to do in terms of crypto. I don't think he's negative crypto. I just don't believe he understood it the first time around. And on the flip side, Kamala Harris has actually been in some meetings and making some calls to potentially talk about crypto as well. And in this article from FXS, Kamala Harris could be turning pro-crypto following a White House meeting with crypto leaders. Crypto executives met with White House members to discuss the future of crypto policy. Now, they're doing this because obviously they have to get with the times at this point if they're going to win any votes in the crypto community. And so there were quite important people at this meeting. On the crypto side, we're talking Coinbase's chief legal officer. We're talking Brad Garlinghouse. We're talking Mark Cuban, Uniswap founder, Skybridge Capital, Anthony Scaramucci, Democratic donors, Circle CEO. So like, these are major players in the crypto space. And then we're talking the Deputy Treasury Secretary. We're talking Kamala Harris's chief of staff. We're talking a boatload of people from the White House. The crypto executives didn't hesitate to air their displeasure with the current Biden administration, stating some unfair treatment they have been receiving from the government and arguably the SEC. This was very much a Biden Biden administration meeting, but the focus now has to be on Harris campaign and what they're willing to do. She's the perfect candidate to be a strong new face for crypto and make a break with the past, Paul Grewal told Fox News. Now, the reality is, whether or not these people like her, and to be honest, I completely disagree. I don't think she's a strong candidate relative to Donald Trump in terms of the crypto camp, because she hasn't come out in support of it yet. And arguably, she's turned down meeting in Nashville when she was invited because probably she couldn't talk about it. She probably doesn't know anything about it, which is fair, right? Maybe you're busy at the White House, whatever. But ultimately, the media and the polls have been very favorable for her. And to be honest, I don't know if what we're seeing in the polls is completely true. I've heard it said that polls are there to influence public opinion and potentially win over new voters, but ultimately they don't influence the votes. So it's really hard to know what's actually happening right now. A lot of people are saying that Trump is falling behind, but we'll see at the debate. That said, Kamala Harris has a 49% chance according to Polymarkets, which is a betting market, whereas Donald Trump is sitting at a 48% chance and was just passed over. This article goes on and continues. The recent involvement of the Harris campaign in crypto affairs has boosted her odds for a potential victory in November on the crypto prediction market, Polymarket. So it's safe to say the future of crypto does look bright, whether it is Donald Trump or Kamala Harris. Ultimately, I think we're going to have far more regulatory clarity, and we're going to have far more access to crypto products, which is going to open the market up for innovation and going to create a golden era that crypto has not seen before. But if I can be confident about one thing, is the fact that crypto is actually going to be regulated. Some people don't like this, but that's the reality of living in a first world country with laws. Products need to be regulated, which is why DeFi tech is such an important player in the future of crypto adoption. This is a company that offers exposure to digital assets and Web3 through some of their regulated and institutional grade ETPs and crypto products. Now, DeFi Tech is the parent company of Valor, and Valor offers exchange-traded products, or ETPs, listed on a regulated stock exchange across Europe that enables individuals and institutions to invest in digital assets simply and securely. Now, we just heard Europe, but if you're in the US, they offer a US stock called DeFi, but ultimately they have multiple arms in their business, so it provides a moat. It's not like they're a one-trick pony. So right here in one of DeFi's slide decks, you can see that they have Valor, they have DeFi infrastructure where they run nodes for DeFi protocols, they have DeFi Ventures, ETP taking diversified positions in DeFi protocols. So they're taking positions in different deals. They have reflexivity research in the crypto space, and then they finally have an arbitrage trading desk. They are a full-scale operation. So right here in particular, I'm going to focus on Valor, which is the asset management company, and their ETPs, which synthetically track the value of a single underlying asset. But again, here's the reality and the value of something like this. Let's say you're like an institutional investor or an accredited investor, or someone's managing your money at a very high level. And yes, you can make some calls, but ultimately, right, you can't just get in and out of crypto. It's a headache when it comes to taxes and regulations and all sorts of other things. So more often than not, you'll see a crypto product, that someone tells you about or that you're really interested in, but then you're like, shoot, I can't invest into it because it's technically not regulated, or maybe you have to have a VPN. So in this case, right, you would use something like DeFi Tech, and in particular Valor, to get access to crypto products that are essentially mirroring the price of the crypto. That's what you call an ETP. So right here, Valor's ETPs provide investors with unparalleled access to single digital assets and comprehensive digital asset indexes. What's so beautiful is the simplicity, the transparency, the security, and the low fees. But I'm going to talk specifically on the simplicity. There is a clear and accelerating market demand from retail, and think about this, from institutions, and that's where it really matters. Institutions that are unable to directly hold digital assets. So if it's difficult for me to create a DeFi wallet, to go on some DeFi exchange, right, move a boatload of money over, I don't know what I'm doing, I want to swap for something on, let's say, Binance Smart Chain, I first have to add the chain, all of these things, like people aren't going to do that, but yet I do want access to, say, Uniswap, right, or Polkadot or Ton. At the end of the day, I can invest directly into these single-side digital assets through Valor. Now, Valor offers a boatload of different single-side digital ETPs. So for example, if I wanted to buy Chainlink, instead of having to go through the whole DeFi process or going through an exchange, right, if that's difficult and you're dealing with a lot of money, you can use something like Valor to get access to Chainlink and their ETP. You could do it with Hedera, you can do it with Toncoin, you can do Bitcoin in particular, their staking, you can do ICP, you can do Ethereum, Polkadot, Cardano, Solana, and they're going to continue to add assets over time. Now, these guys are legit, which is why shout out to them for sponsoring us, because once we found out about these guys, we were really excited to partner with them. We did our own digging. We found out that they're a great team with a lot of experience. Their stock is at a great price, and we'll talk more about that here in a second. But even Yahoo Finance came out and wrote an article on them. DeFi Technologies, again, the parent company, subsidiary is Valor, introduces world's first and only yield-bearing Bitcoin ETP in collaboration with Core Foundation to German investors. So they're on the forefront of some really cool regulated products in the crypto space. In other words, this is one of those companies that's going to bring crypto and Web3 to the average person and the institutional investor alike, especially if they're not like, again, that Web3 crypto degen that's sitting there in the DeFi trenches every day. And when you come over to the valor.com website by going to VALOUR.com and check out the team, you can check out each individual person on the team. They have a pretty stacked team with deep history in the financial world, and they're very knowledgeable about crypto, which is why they're starting to offer these types of products. But they also actually have an investor and an advisor in Anthony Pompliano. For those of you guys who don't know, Anthony Pompliano, or Pomp, has about 1.6 million followers on Twitter. He's arguably one of the most well-known crypto talking heads and personalities, and he has a lot of very positive things to say about the company, and recently even hosted a podcast with some people on the team. Then when you take a look at the stock, I can't help but feel a bit more bullish for a few different variables and reasons. First and foremost, as of recently, there was a massive spike in buy volume that is a total anomaly. Yes, right, there's a little bit of sell pressure there, but when you really pull it up from a VRVP standpoint in terms of the volume, there is a crazy amount of volume right here, which is arguably acting as a support. The second thing is I tossed those EMAs on there from a weekly time frame, and you can see here when we had the 10 EMA cross over the 20, we've consistently seen support at the 20, and even including right now, which I would argue is a pretty good buy opportunity when you see the type of volume that we're seeing here, upwards of $40 million in a single week. And it's a relatively small stock, so it's a pretty good opportunity as things are. So that's the second thing. And the third thing is when you look at the current performance, yes, it did come off of those all-time highs, made some insane all-time lows, or not all-time, but major lows at 0.049. And so now we are trending up. This is a textbook uptrend. What's even more interesting is that they have recently outperformed Bitcoin. So right here, I have a percentage scale on Bitcoin. Here was the local bottom on Bitcoin before we started making these, new all-time highs as of recently in March. So we have November 7th of 2022 marked on the chart right here. Now I'm going to drag that all the way to the left to the point where that is the last thing that is visible. And basically what this means is from that day right there, right, we are currently up about 274% on Bitcoin. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to test or track that against DeFi Tech. And as you can see in the same period of time, this is actually impressive. DeFi Tech, okay, the parent company to Valor, is sitting up 906% versus Bitcoin's 274%, which means it has outperformed Bitcoin. And what's so beautiful is in the process of owning a stock like this, right, ultimately you're getting access to everything that they hold in their reserves. And they hold things like Bitcoin and Solana. So it's kind of like I wouldn't call it leveraged way, but it's a way to hold a regulated company in the crypto space that's going to build the future of regulated crypto products. So you can look the ticker up for yourself. It's DEFTF. Okay, so it's DEFTF. And if you don't have a TradingView account, you can simply go to finance.yahoo.com and figure out how to, learn more about the ticker. The current price is sitting at about $1.47, and many people think that is undervalued to the point where even on CNBC, a guy by the name of Eric Jackson, who's in charge of EMJ Capital, I'm assuming that's his name, right? But he's a very well-known investor, even mentioned that DeFi is actually in a major pick list alongside Carvana, Coinbase, Upstart, Affirm, major companies. So if you want to learn more, it's pretty straightforward. Just go to defi.tech, defi.tech. So let's get back to the video on this. Here's the reality, right? The SEC is unlikely to appeal. And according to Jeremy Hogan, who is a crypto lawyer, there is no final glorious victory for the SEC up in the Second Circuit, just the potential for disaster. In other words, even if they did appeal, it wouldn't make sense from a political standpoint, from a trust standpoint. At this point, they don't really have that much of a case other than, hey, let's appeal and try to get more out of it. Earlier this spring, the former SEC division chief also explained why the agency may not appeal the Ripple ruling. There's some speculation that the SEC might just let the Ripple opinion stay there as a district court opinion, not risking elevating it to a circuit level. Will the SEC appeal? And here's what Jeremy Hogan said. Remember that even if the SEC wins the appeal, the case just comes back down to the trial court for further factual determinations. There is no final glorious victory for the SEC. And ultimately, that is the opinion of just about everyone. So they would have to be foolish or arguably pressured to go and attack XRP more. And it's not like we haven't seen that before, but it's been a 4-year trial in the current political climate and where they're at. I think everyone's likely to be happy with the outcome of the ruling from the judge. And here's what Stuart Alderodi, Ripple Labs chief legal officer, said about the whole issue.
I saw your post on X yesterday reacting to a judge fining Ripple $125 million after ruling that institutional sales of XRP violated federal securities laws. Now, you called the SEC's request for $2 billion in fines and penalties an absurd demand and wrote that you actually respect that $125 million fine that the court has imposed. How are you feeling about this final outcome to a long and protracted legal battle with the SEC?
We're feeling really good about it. Ripple, when it was first sued by the SEC almost 4 years ago, said that we were going to defend this case not only on our own behalf, but on behalf of the entire crypto industry. This administration, with this SEC under this chair, has clearly taken an anti-crypto stance and has engaged in a war on crypto that's playing out in the courts. I think they lost on everything that was important to them. Trying to establish that a token itself, in this case XRP, can be considered a security was soundly rejected by the court. And what the court said is a token is never a security in and of itself, just like a bar of gold is never a security. You can certainly package commodities or virtual currencies up and sell them as securities, but they're not securities in and of themselves. And that's the core clarity that we sought in this case. And the establishing that XRP is not in and of itself a security is the law of the land. What the judge did find is that certain historical sales, beginning around 2015, the way that those sales were packaged with sophisticated third parties, they should have been registered under the securities laws. And that's the piece of the decision that we respect. The judge rejected a $2 billion ask from the SEC because she found that Ripple didn't act recklessly. We didn't act with any intention to defraud anybody. And in fact, there were no victims The counterparties to those transactions suffered no financial loss at all. But staying true to the law, since there was a technical violation of the failure to register those historical sales, she did impose a fine of $125 million. That's something that we will pay with cash off of our balance sheet, and we look forward to moving forward. And hopefully this turns a page not only for Ripple, but also hopefully finally this administration will turn the page on their war on crypto and hit the reset button.
Now, to address the final piece, okay, most people were worrying about, or at least the FUDers, right, were worried about whether or not XRP would be sold in order to pay this settlement. However, there is data or information, and even the Ripple lawyer said so himself, they'll be paying it out of their own reserves. So in other words, it's not like they're sitting there selling or dumping XRP, but here's the information that I found on the situation around their reserves and how much cash they're sitting on. Ripple bought back $285 million of its privately held shares earlier this year at terms implying a total market value of $11.3 billion. At the time, Garlinghouse said Ripple Labs has more than $1 billion of cash on hand alongside more than $25 billion in crypto holdings. And I'm assuming not all of that is going to be XRP, right? It's fiscally responsible to hold multiple assets. It's what we call diversification. So ultimately, I do believe, and this is from Motley Fool, I do believe that they're just going to be able to pay it off. They're going to get it over with. I don't think the SEC is going to, go and appeal yet again. There's nothing that they're going to win from it, unless, of course, there's really some sort of vendetta or they want revenge. That said, the price of Ripple has looked really strong. Not only did we have our bear trap and breakdown to essentially have people capitulate in the market, but we've seen consistent buying at the ranges of 42 cents upwards to 50 cents. We have a very long, strong wick with a green candle right now, and arguably if we break above this range right here at like 65 cents and then above 75 cents, I do believe XRP is bare bones minimum going up back to at least $1.60 to $1.95. Remains to be seen if the bull market continues to rally through the end of the year, but this was exactly the catalyst we needed. If you watch yesterday's video, the video that I made surrounding the Ripple settlement, you're going to see all of the positive news and arguably the technical analysis surrounding XRP and the token price. I am very bullish right now, and we're nearing the end of this very long flag or triangle. So yes, we can potentially range for a bit more through to October, I would argue, but by then I would say it's go time. So I think at any point in time it is accumulation. I wouldn't say it's a capitulation time. It's an accumulation zone. And one last time, if you haven't already, go to bullrunners.com. And this is our all market solution. Doesn't matter if Bitcoin or XRP dump, doesn't matter if they pump to the moon. I mean, it's really going to be beneficial to you if XRP pumps to the moon, especially if you play this game. But the reason we're sharing it with you is because we're going to show you exactly how to earn more crypto in about 10 minutes of time per day with the #1 play to earn XRP game. It is the coolest thing ever, and you can put your XRP to work for you. So thanks so much for watching the video, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video.